Hey, welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 120. I'm Jeff Halash. This is our live call-in show for computer repair techs. The call-in number is 1-888-697-0162. Let me introduce the co-hosts. We have with us Matt Rainey from Podnutz Pro and InformedIT.net. How you doing, Matt?
Oh, just fine. How about you?
I am doing excellent, albeit a little bit cold, but I'm doing good. So I'm
Cold,
inside.
yeah.
I'm inside where it's nice
It's
and warm.
outside today. It's about 73.
Oh, you suck. Okay. So no. Oh, that's good. The niceties of living down south, I have to say.
Well, it will be cold the next few days, but today it's not. So,
Oh, that's good.
and
Good.
when I
That's
say
nice
cold,
weather.
it'll be in the 40s.
I pray for the 40s. Well, good to have you. Also with us, we have Tom Lawrence from LawrenceSystems.com. How you doing again, Tom?
Doing great.
Good to have you on the show.
I wish it was 70.
Yeah, I hear you. Me too. And also from the cold tundra, we also have Corey Fruitman from Instant Housecall. How you doing, Corey?
Good, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing great. Having a good day. Well, this is our live call-in show where we you can call in live and we will take your calls on the air. We'll answer questions if you want to join in on the conversation. Again, the number is 1-888-697-0162. Feel free to call while we're here. Hey, and also we have joining us Chris Carruthers from the Remote Support Tech Team. How you doing, Chris?
I'm pretty good, Jeff. How are you?
I am
Little
doing
late.
excellent. That's all right. Better late than never, right?
Well, I guess it depends on who you're talking to.
Well, at least, you look good. You don't look like you're sweating or anything, so it couldn't have been too bad.
Yeah, that's what the towel's for.
Okay. Sop up all that. Yeah, okay. Anyways, so, yep, we just got started, and basically, I'll tell you what, Corey, why don't you, actually, let's do this. Let's go the other way. Hey, Tom, what types of things have you been working on this week?
This week, transferring a few clients to the cloud. That's and one of them with 550-something thousand emails. That's been taking the longest. But the other ones that had fewer emails and were willing to abandon the old 2008 stuff, got them off there and moved off pretty quick. So we've been doing a lot of that this week. It seems like everyone finally decided to switch.
Okay, yeah, a lot of people seem like they're going to the cloud nowadays. It seems like the place to be.
Well, they have only, with these, a few of my clients are still running 2003 Exchange servers, so they got to get off these things or replace them by, I think, July something of this year is when they finally, there are a lot of small business servers, like the 2003 small business servers. That's all going to be expired out of support, so part of the transition is getting them off of that, just putting in a basic newer file server and not bothering with Exchange. With only like 5 employees, it's just too inexpensive to not have it hosted.
Right. No, that's a good point. But, let's face it, Tom, the reality is it's going to go out of support first, and then your customers are going to call you.
Yes.
Because that's always the way it happens.
Well, they got to get hacked, and then that's when they call. They're like,
There
oh,
you
yeah,
go.
this thing.
It's not working.
Yep,
I don't
that's when they
understand why
finally
my
start
Windows
calling.
XP machine keeps on telling me that I'm in a botnet. I don't know.
Right. Oh, it's nuts. But, yeah, so, that'll be exciting. That should bring some revenue in for this year, I think.
Yes.
Very cool. Hey, and Matt, what types of things you've been working on, or you got any funny stories for us in the IT world?
Oh, that's every day. But we're doing a lot of the same stuff. I talked to 4 or 5 clients again this past week that are still on 03 SBS, small business server. But people who have been on that long don't really care if it's going out of support or not.
Right.
You really got to sell them a different way than just saying, hey, it's not going to be supported. Because in their eyes, like, I can still get to my files, I can still email. So them, it's a different kind of sell as far as you can definitely mention it. You definitely have to start out the conversation that way.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, they don't really care if it's going out of support. They want to know why they should have to replace them that's working. So,
Right. Well, especially since you'll fix it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if they call you and say, hey, this isn't working, it doesn't really matter whether or not it's out of support by Microsoft. It's whether or not you're willing to fix it.
Right. And that's in their mind, we'll just keep doing what we've been doing for 10 years. Let's just keep doing it longer. But although we did have a server that this past week completely die that had 03 server on it, so their servers being expedited to get them out there.
Now, are you upgrading that server?
Oh no, that hardware is so old. We've been telling this client for years to replace the hardware and upgrade the server. So, but in their situation, we have to get the server back up at least to be able to get the data off of it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So they've, and they say it all the time. Well, I want to keep using it until it dies. And this client's told me that on multiple occasions. I say, well, that's a good plan, but you don't know the day it's going to die.
Right.
So normally when it dies, now you have a problem because now you've got to bring it back to life to get your data off of it or do whatever you need off of it. Because their backup. Somebody in this boat doesn't have a good backup usually because they don't listen to any of your recommendations. So we got to get the server back up to get the mail, to get the data, to get them going because even if we order a server today, it won't be delivered for a week or two. So yeah, it's fun stuff like that this past week.
My thought process on that is, listen, can you live without your data for more than a day? And if a person says no, it's like, well, then this is not a choice.
Well, they'll all say no. Different. They'll also, well, okay, they might say yes. Yeah, I can if it's a Saturday.
Right, exactly.
We're not.
But the reality is, who can live without their email for without it or for a day?
I'd love to.
Yeah, exactly.
They all say they can. In that conversation, yeah, we can. But then when it actually happens, it's the end of the world.
Right.
And then I can remember the conversation where they said, yeah, it's not a big deal if we're down for a day or two. They didn't mean this day or two. That was a hypothetical day or two. Now it's a real day or two when they need it back up ASAP, which I hate that term, by the way.
What does that mean? As soon as what?
As
soon as
right
possible.
Now.
Well,
ASAP
as soon as I get around to it. Right.
Right. ASAP means now to them.
Yep. You got a virus on your computer. That really sucks. All right, it's going to take me anywhere between 45 minutes to 2 hours to get that fixed up for you. I'm with a customer, so you have to give me an hour. Well, that's unacceptable. Are you kidding me? Find an IT company that's going to have you up and running in less than 4 hours. Come on.
Exactly. Yep. No, that's a good point. So, hey, Matt, now with that being said, though, are you moving them up to a newer server, Microsoft server?
Normally what we're doing with those people is we're going to get them on a Server 2012 machine and put Exchange in the cloud, either hosted Exchange through Intermedia or through Office 365. Depends on the customer, which one we recommend for them.
Okay.
So we haven't been putting. Well, I can't say we did do a few in-house Exchange servers recently that didn't want to go to the cloud, but normally we're going to recommend a hosted Exchange solution.
Is, in your opinion, that's a better way to go nowadays?
For us, yes. Generally, yes.
Okay.
They'll spend less in administration and ongoing administration costs to keep their mail going.
Who do you use for that? Like, are you going through AppRiver, or are you doing your own thing?
We're resellers with Intermedia.
Okay.
So we either put them on Intermedia or, depending on their situation, Office 365.
Okay.
We tell them the pros and cons of each one, cheaper price versus the support you get, and they make the decision of which one they want to go with.
What were you going to say, Tom?
Yeah, I haven't really figured out where the price point is anymore to bother hosting it in-house. There was an interesting conversation at the Microsoft Developer Concert when we were talking about some of the server-side stuff, because some of the people that are heavily into like Exchange servers going, is there a future for Exchange? And Microsoft, from what I understand, would not give a direct answer. It sounds like they really just want to push everything as Office 365 and hosted platforms on Azure, things like that. They don't really. I don't see Exchange as having a big future. In-house is not real practical for email management.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one thing. If we have a customer that's going to go on Exchange, we know Exchange. We've been working with Exchange for 15, 20 years, whatever. But if they decide to go somewhere else, a lot of people don't know Exchange Server anymore.
Right.
It's almost like putting them on a proprietary software package that's not really proprietary, where we know how to administer it, but you go somewhere else, they're not going to know.
Because I think a lot of people are going to more of the cloud services, and that's what they're even pushing their customers, towards. A lot of people are talking about even getting off servers, and I guess it would depend on your needs, but they're talking about more, going to, maybe a NAS or something like that. and just for files, serving databases and files and things like that.
Yeah, I don't like that. But what I don't mind about Exchange Online is if you want to grow your business and get more and more clients, to not have an Exchange server on site to go down and become an emergency if it goes down, where I can manage thousands of clients if they have hosted solutions rather than hundreds of clients that have in-house solutions.
Right.
Well, it's more stable and it runs really well. I mean, there is very few instances where hosting it yourself is going to be more beneficial, unless you're, at the size of Honda or Toyota, or, like a huge corporation like that, where they can have their own central data servers with their own failovers. I mean, really.
When you talk about big companies, why do you always say Honda and Toyota? I work for Ford, right?
Because that I work for Honda.
No. You don't work for Honda anymore. You can't...
Worked. There was an ED at the end of that.
Oh, gotcha. But so.
Well, whenever I think of IT in a big corporation, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, because that's where I had the most corporate experience, was dealing with them.
Gotcha. All right.
But does Ford use Exchange, or do they use like Lotus or something?
God, no, they actually use Exchange. No, it's they use the whole. They replace their PCs every 3 years. They're contracted through Dell or whatever, and they use a Microsoft Office. That's usually, I get Microsoft Office whenever the new one comes out for like $10 for a copy of it. So.
Yeah. See, we used Office for everything except email. Email was through Lotus Notes when I was there, and that was it.
Are you kidding me?
No, and I was a Lotus Notes administrator.
Wow.
So there's a skill that I hope I never have to use again, because that was something.
Right.
Yeah. Hey. We used to do Novell networks too.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. What about Lantastic? That's where my very first started out. Lantastic with those old twin-ax networks and with the BNC connectors.
I didn't like any of that stuff. I didn't like Novell at all.
No. Hey, Corey, you kind of been quiet there. What types of things you got going on in your business there?
Quite a bit. So things are. I mean, we're working on getting ready for Windows 10, obviously. So we've been doing a fair bit of testing, a little bit of development here and there. I'm pretty sure most people who are listening, and you guys as well, know that LogMeIn made some changes on their end. That's been making things a little bit busier on my end. So all in all, keeping busy. Some good, some it's lots of work.
Well, lots of work usually entails, hopefully, lots of more revenue for you. So I hope it's moving in that direction. Now, yes, we're not. I also preface that with saying we're not all multimillionaires sitting here,
Oh, darn it!
Making tons of money. That's why we're doing a free podcast, because.
We talked last week. That's what we said, was that this would create an opportunity for companies like Instant Housecall. LogMeIn's change in pricing means opportunity.
Absolutely.
And for sure. Take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And you should. I mean, any good company would, right? And you guys would do the same thing. If you had, one of your bigger competitors turn around and do something ridiculous like quadruple their price on everybody, you're gonna jump on that too, right? So yeah, I mean, good for you, Corey. You should be right in there.
Yep, absolutely. It's right now. It's my go-to, remote support tool. So and I've told this to people before, and everybody's heard me, but it's one of the easiest ones I've found to use for me and for my customer as far as getting connected to a machine. It's dead drop simple. So
yep,
it's what I like.
Oh, thank you.
So anyway, Chris, the latecomer to the game.
Yes, sir.
What types of things do you have going on that would have made you late today?
Well, actually, because of how busy everything has been with the new office that we're opening on next Sunday, I have been swamped to the point where we didn't actually celebrate Valentine's Day last weekend. We're celebrating it this weekend. And I was at the grocery store picking up all of the ingredients that I needed to make my wife dinner, which I never do. So that's honestly why I was late. I was picking up dinner ingredients and ran out of time because I have no idea how to cook. For Canadians out there, I have Cherry Coke Zero, which we all know is completely impossible to get because it's only sold in the States.
Oh.
So there's that, and that's more or less it. I'm ramping up for the big opening of the office. I'm not going to be able to come onto the show next weekend because of
Right.
it. So I'm just announcing that to everybody, and I'll take the flack in the chat for that.
Hey,
That's
we appreciate
pretty
you
much
coming
it.
out on a regular basis, so that's all good. Now,
You know, I'd like to say I'm so Canadian, I didn't even know that Cherry Coke Zero existed. I've never seen that before in my life.
I didn't either, but you know what, Corey? The next time you're coming through Barrie at the old-time candy shop where they import all of the U.S. only stuff so that we can have it, they're selling them. It's $10 for 10 cans, so it's not exactly cheap. But as a diabetic, it's really hard for me to find really tasty drinks like that. So I was really excited when I saw it.
you know, I'm just hoping that during the show somebody does not come knocking on your door because you have contraband that, you know, they're going to wonder how you got across the border.
I think the RCMP is after the Cherry Coke Zero people.
I'm
a big crackdown.
convinced that they've been bribed. They probably have cases of stuff themselves.
There you go.
Just give them one.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, here, try it. It's tasty.
Although I do have to say that our Kinder Surprises still have toys in them.
Your what?
Our Kinder Surprises still have toys in them.
What's a Kinder Surprise?
Exactly. see, there's ridiculous rules about stuff in Canada when it comes to food, which is why you guys have a lot of stuff that we don't. But in the U.S., you are no longer allowed to have a non-edible item completely encased in an edible item. So a Kinder Surprise is a chocolate egg, and then when you break it open, there is a plastic capsule in the middle, and it has a toy for the kids to play with. But because it's completely engrossed in chocolate, it's not able to be sold in the States.
Well, yeah, it's a choking hazard. Who would do that?
And that is the exact reason why it's not allowed down there, because you guys would eat it.
We're too dumb.
Wow, that's hurtful.
Okay, I'm sorry you brought it on yourself, Jeff.
Wow.
It says it on the wrapper that there's a toy in the middle. Like you can't miss it. It's the whole point.
We don't read.
You gotta crack the egg
You
first.
don't read.
Pull the toy out.
Just so no one feels like they're missing out. Neither the toy nor the chocolate are any good. Just
Oh no! It's no good at all. But if you give it to a 6-year-old, it's like the Christmas just came again.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a new one there. Well, that's good. So now my only question for you, Chris, is that
Yes, sir.
will you have a chair for me when I come and visit you?
Yes, actually, in my living room, to my wife's displeasure, are desks and chairs and everything that's going into the office. And yes, I have a nice blue waiting room chair that will be ridiculously comfortable for you to sit in, Jeff.
Oh, awesome.
Very specifically.
All right, cool.
And
We're
coffee.
Oh, hey, coffee. And it'll be
Coffee.
Canadian coffee, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. No, it's Keurig, so it's probably the same stuff that you guys got.
Yeah, pretty much. Is yours DRM'd or not?
Yes, yeah, it's the Keurig 2.0.
Okay, gotcha.
But you know what? That doesn't bother me because the only reason why I like my Keurig is because when my brother-in-law uses it, we bought him for Christmas one of the little ones that you can fill yourself, but it clogs it so
Okay.
easy. So it's whatever.
Gotcha. All right,
This
very
is the most non-technical conversation that I think we've had on the
Yeah,
show.
I know. I just was curious about what's going on with your life, and kind of answered
You're
that
talking
question.
about DRM on coffee. That's pretty technical.
Well, but all you need is a black marker to get around that. So I don't know.
Is
why
it a
you're all
black
that-
marker? I heard there was a little chip you could put in place that would block the signal or
Well,
something.
I mean, you could do that if you want to modify the thing, but then if you ever have to send it back for warranty, then you're done, right? But all you have to do is mark a ring on the capsule, and it doesn't recognize that it's not normal.
Oh,
Yeah, the 3.0 is going to have better DRM.
Yeah,
Yeah, I read they're going to block that too.
yeah.
oh, I can't wait till they start putting DRM in our Big Macs or something like that. So you
can only
can't
dip
get this anywhere else.
You can only dip the fries in certain ketchup.
That's
Where
right.
are you even going with that?
I don't
Although,
know.
I mean, DRM is a huge thing right now, though, with the in the video game industry. I don't know if you guys follow any of that, but there's a lot of small indie companies that are kind of upset about the way that all that's going, to the point where they just won't put DRM on their games at all.
Well, because it gets, what ends up happening is, and this is a side note, it is technical, but it's not really anything to do with computer repair. But the reality is that the DRM on these things only stops the people that actually buy the software from actually getting the game installed properly. Now, when things like Steam and stuff came along, it was less so because you could basically download it on whatever computer you're on, install the game. As long as you're only opening one Steam account at a time on one PC, you could have it on multiple PCs, but just play one PC at a time. So that worked out well. But, yeah, the days of putting discs in and all that kind of stuff is kind of gone by the wayside.
What's a disc?
Exactly.
Although I have to say that early DRM was amazing because I still remember installing Sam and Max with 16 floppy disks, and every time you put in the next floppy disk, it would tell you to go to a certain page in the manual and dress Sam and Max the way that they were dressed on that page, and that was how their copy protection was. And of course, with dial-up, I couldn't exactly go look up any of the codes if I ever lost the book.
Oh.
So. Yeah.
Talk about old school. Wow.
Let's get back on track, Jeff. Why did you get us so far off the road?
I don't know. All right, let's answer some emails. Let's go into the meat of the show. All right, so this email comes from John Hance. It says, "Hi, Jeff. I've been listening to your show for half a year or so now. I wanted to say thanks for the time and effort you put into producing these shows every week. I've been working in IT for 5 years now, but I still pick up things from your show every week, especially on the business side of things. I know you read a lot of your emails on the show, so if you'd like, I'd like to share a few points of discussion that may or may not prove interesting. All discussion is interesting." It says, "A little background and a frame of reference. I am 25 and located in East Tennessee. I've been working in IT full time since 2009. I have an AS in computer science and networking and BS in information technology." I've got a BS too, but it's not in information technology. I work for an IT contractor here in East Tennessee doing primarily break fix for residential and commercial, managed services, hardware leasing, and your typical help desk duties. Yeah. Okay. It says, "Without being too nosy, what kind of volume are you doing annually? I'm trying to get a feel for how I can compare my business practices to yours and your guests. My shop has 2 full-time technicians, myself included, and we're doing around $500,000 gross every year. Needless to say, we're repairing several dozen machines per week, which gives us a lot of insight into the current trends." And to that, I say, I sent him an email back, and I basically said, I'm a smaller shop that works part-time out of my house, so I'm not a good variable for that. But I work on computers on a weekly basis, so every week, and learn new things all the time as I grow my business. Second part is, he says, "How do you recommend handling wireless printer installations? I have several customers per week nowadays that have issues with these, whether it be they stop working for no reason or they need to set up a new one. Customers always seem frustrated that we can't just magically make them work in the shop without having the printer present. Many of our residential clients don't want the hassle of bringing the printer in, but balk at the idea of paying our $75 an hour on-site fee." And to that, I think, Tom, we were talking about that last week, is that I think that wireless printer technology still sucks today.
Yes.
And it breaks all the time. And, that the number one thing everybody can do, obviously, is turn it off and on again, right? That's the first thing you do. See if it hooks back up to the network, and go from there. But it's very hard nowadays, unless I don't know. In a lot of times, it's people bringing laptops in, trying to print off the printer. I always like to have workstations that are directly networked and connected to that printer, versus actually being on the network wired versus just doing the wireless. What do you guys say?
I have the most trouble with dealing with people in wireless printers. And I probably speak just like he does. They don't want to pay. The other common answer is, "That's how much I paid for their printer." They're buying these $99 printers, and they're like, "What's going to cost me that much to get it set up?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they just don't work right. I don't really have a great answer for that. It is, other than, like you said, plug it into the USB. It's just a technology that's not very smooth. We just had one with a wireless printer. They had an open Wi-Fi network in their building, in an apartment building. It kept jumping to the other network even though we told it not to.
Right.
So she kept losing the printer on a pretty regular basis. I didn't have a solution other than to run a USB cable, which didn't make them happy, but it did solve the printing problem because they want to be able to sit anywhere with their laptop. So not really a good answer for that. It is, God, it's probably one of the worst. I'd rather remove a virus remotely than deal with printers.
Okay, first off, ouch. And second off, I mean, you can generally, you can fix a wireless printer remotely as well. 9 times out of 10, the whole problem is that the software on the computer is messed up, and reinstalling the software to manage the printer winds up fixing the problem. Something like yours, where it was jumping back and forth between the wireless networks, that's not something that I probably would have been able to fix unless a firmware update would fix it. Which, plug in the USB cable, do the firmware update, see what happens. But I've fixed a lot of printing problems with wireless printers remotely, and it's either power cycling it, disconnecting it from the network, and then reconnecting it, or reinstalling the printer drivers. It fixes it like probably pretty close to 90% of the time when we get them.
It's mostly the number of service calls related to it. The customer doesn't want to spend the money. We can fix it. They're a pain, but the mystery breaking is also, why did you have to reinstall the printer drivers for a machine that should have been just up and running and working, and then a week ago it was, and this week it's not.
Oh, I have absolutely no excuse for the companies that write these drivers as to why they fail. But they're fixable. You can get them running again, and I mean we do it right on a pretty regular basis. But that is the difference between our company and a company like yours. We do a lot more remote than most companies do because that's all we do, right? So the answer to that email would have been, why didn't you buy Instant Housecall yet and go ahead and do that remotely?
I find a lot of problems with wireless printers is customers not understanding what they're asking for. They'll say they want a wireless printer, when what they mean is, I don't want to have a cable between my computer and the printer. So a wired printer, meaning, at least I support a lot of businesses, we get the printer a hardwired connection. The printer connects to the network with a hard wire, but what they mean is they don't want to have a USB cable or direct connection. They want to be able to take their notebook, sit on the counter, and print to it. They call that wireless printing.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
when it's not
the education between wireless and network.
Wow,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of clients tell me, I want a wireless printer, and I'm like, well, so we can't run a cable to where the printer's going to be? And they say, yeah, but I don't want a cable. Okay, but it's going to have power. There's a network jack right there. We can just plug the printer. Are you going to be moving the printer around? Well, no, it's going to sit on the counter. Okay, so we can connect it with a network cable, and your computer can still print to it. Even though your computer connects to the network wirelessly, the printer is on the same network. So I find a lot of it is customers thinking that the printer connects to the network wirelessly as well.
Right. And that's a good point, and that's what I mean is if you connect it via Ethernet cable, it will work most of the time. But I think I don't know if he's being specific about the actual wireless. If you're doing it wirelessly, the wireless signal. If you're not plugging it into an Ethernet and you're just trying to use it as a wireless printer, to me, that just never works 100% of the time.
And it doesn't work. And I always recommend them. I explain the difference to them. No, the printer, you can be wireless. Your computer, your notebook can be wireless. You're going to print to it over the net. But they think since the computer's wireless, the printer must be wireless.
Right.
They don't understand. They ask for wireless printer, but that's not what they want. They want to be able to print from their computer without having it be attached.
Yes.
So 99% of the time, at least in business support, when they say wireless printer, a networked printer with a hard wire is what they need and what I put in for them.
Exactly. Anyone else?
Yeah, you're right about that. On the business side, so much easier to deal with because the drivers are written much better on the business class ones. We have like a school district that we do. They keep thinking they wanted something wireless. I'm like, no, your Ricoh copier is fine because it's plugged into the network. They just didn't understand that they could unplug their laptops and wander around the school and print to it. It was a training thing. It had nothing to do with. They thought they had always have they have docks, and they thought when they took it out of dock, because they didn't try, when they took it out of the dock, they thought they couldn't print. I'm like, no, you can still print when it's not in the dock. It's wireless. It works. But there's a wire on the printer. That confusion, even with a bunch of school teachers, is funny.
I can definitely see that.
Kids grow up, and they get these life experiences.
Hey, Corey, do you ever have any issues with wireless printing, or do you always plug in?
Well, so mine is on a network. Obviously I'm not as customer facing as you guys are, but while Matt was talking, I did have one idea that might be helpful. For your customers who don't have an Ethernet jack, you can use home plugs. Have you guys used home plugs before?
I use them. You're talking about like the power over wire. Well, I can't remember what they call it.
Power over Ethernet.
Power over Ethernet's a little bit different, but it's like it's a plug that goes into your wall socket, like your regular.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It transmits Ethernet over that.
So the networking over power lines.
Power
Yes,
line, power line adapters. There we
You
go.
have to have a house that's less than 10 years old for that to really be effective, though. I mean, we tried something like that here, and nope.
Really?
I've actually used them in two different places in varying degrees on how old the house was, and they work fine. What it comes down to, yes, though I actually use them here. The wiring has to be done correctly, and what you'll find a lot of times is old wiring. You know, everybody thinks that every time you have a room, that whole room, let's say the kitchen, will be attached to one circuit breaker, and that is not code and is definitely not the way it's supposed to be done. So you're supposed to have different breakers going to different plugs inside of different rooms, and as long as you have that done correctly, it'll work every time. So, but yeah, it does depend on the location. It does depend on the house, and you know sometimes older wiring or incorrect wiring can cause problems with that. The other thing too is sometimes you might have to try it on a couple different plugs inside that same room to see if you get a more direct connection. It's not going to work in necessarily every outlet inside the house. I've had to move mine around a couple times, but I've got it to where my kids are getting in their room with one of the power line adapters. They're getting the full amount of download speed and upload speed from our internet service provider through that, no problem. So and it's consistent.
Somebody in the chat room mentioned the Lantronix print servers. I've heard those work pretty good. I haven't tried any of them, but they're one of the solutions I've seen people recommend that they seem to be happy with.
That's true. I've heard those advertised. I've just never. They say they work with everything too, Macs, Windows, pretty much everything out there, and they say they're pretty seamless to set up too. Very cool. All right, well, let's. I think we'll move on from the wireless printing thing. It says, and this is kind of more of a note to me, but it brings up a good topic. It says, I remember you talking about how you don't want to fool with mobile device repairs. Just wanted to share that we have 3 years of experience doing mobile devices now, and this is what we find. iPhones and Samsung phones are generally very simple. They are mostly screwed together, and parts are typically reasonably priced. The vast majority of walk-ins have iPhones or Galaxy devices. So we do keep many common parts in stock for a quick turnaround. We do dabble in some of the glued-together devices like iPads and Galaxy tablets, but I agree they are a pain in the butt and generally not worth the money and hassle. We usually profit around $60 to $80 in mobile device repairs, and every job is typically less than 30 minutes, so it may be a good money maker for you. And talking about that, there was an article that came out this week where iFixit over at iFixit.com actually has over 250 repair things on their website for taking apart like Samsung phones and stuff like that. Yeah. And I know it's an area that I need to look into, and it's just one of those things. It's another learning curve that you've got to jump into to be able to support that stuff. The other problem I've always had though is having the amount of parts on hand. If you're just doing a one-off every once in a while, it's kind of like you got to wait for the part, and that can kind of become a pain. But what do you guys think about mobile device repairs?
Having a lot of parts in stock, like you said, is the key to it. I've looked at it. I've thought about getting into it. It's just really, really tedious. There's the other problem I have is there's about 30 places inside. Some are working out of their house. Some are working out of. There's 3 different tanning salons that have iPhone repair people in there. The margins in this area are so slim.
You can get a tan while your iDevice is fixed.
Yeah. It's why tanning salons? I don't know, but there's 3 of them that have iPhone repair places in them right on our main street.
The iPhone in the tanning bed to heat it up to melt the glue.
Well, no, think about it for a second, though, right? So the type of people who use iPhones and iDevices and Apple devices are the type of people who want to spend the extra money for the status that they have an Apple device. And I'm sorry, but it's the truth. So those are the same people who are going to go and get a tan. So if you have the same customers who want both things, why not have them in one house? Sure.
Send that email to info@rstechteam.com.
Gonna start getting hate mail now. Thanks, Jeff.
No, I think you're right, Chris. And not saying that girls drop them a lot, but I have stepkids and they have broke their iPhone screens on multiple occasions. So.
Well, they're
I
so
think
easy
does,
to.
yeah.
Yes.
They're
Yeah,
so
they are.
easy to. I mean, especially when the iPhone 4 was a lot bigger than it was now. You have the front glass and the back glass. Like, really? Whose idea was that? Right? So, but my daughter, she wanted an iPhone because all of her friends had an iPhone. So I'm saying this from experience about the status thing. But we bought her the life-proof case for her iPhone, and that thing has saved that phone so many times. It's not even funny. Because she has one of those studio beds with the desks underneath it, and I know she's dropped her phone off of that bed probably 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, the whole mobile repair thing can be eliminated with 3 words: get a case.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then the whole market goes away.
Yep. I don't understand that. Why would you pay $600 for something and not pay $20 for a inexpensive case to put on there and at least protect most things from getting damaged?
Most people don't pay that much money for it. Most people pay anywhere between $100 or $0 for their iPhone because they get it from their cell phone provider. So the value of it doesn't really hit their head.
Right. No, I get that, but if you have to actually replace that, it's still going to be cheaper to pay somebody even $150 to $200 to replace a screen versus having to actually go and buy a new one.
Absolutely, and that's usually when people wind up buying the case. That's why cell phone repair places carry cases. Literally, those cases are going to make it so that they're not going to do that repair anymore, which on one hand sucks. On the other hand, they're also going to be a lot more careful with the phone, so that's the perfect time to sell them a case.
True. Kind of like backup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so my daughter had a life-proof case, and she still cracked her phone.
Wow.
But the one flaw with the case is that you have to have it on the phone.
Oh, wow. Or you have to keep on. Did you have to keep reminding her that she had to screw in the thing that covered the headphone jack?
Oh, because it's always in the bathroom when she's taking a shower, taking a bath. Yeah, right.
And so did you screw that thing shut? And we had to show her like 4 times, like, no, look, when you're done using your headphones, you have to screw this thing in. It's not waterproof if you have it open.
We got her a Bluetooth speaker, so that wouldn't be a problem. But
there you go.
So she cracked a brand new phone, and we made her pay to get it fixed. So
sure.
Yeah.
But we don't do those kind of repairs because there are so many little shops that pop up around where I live that specialize in that.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll advertise they'll fix it for ridiculously low price, and I don't have time for the margins that it's going to give me. So we don't even do them. I'm not going to fight the 40 places that I can drive around 5 minutes and find that do that. So.
And that's probably a good tip, even for small computer repair shops like some of us, in that you can partner with somebody that actually does that on a regular basis. Sometimes, man, that's how they make their money. Is all they do is these smaller mobile repairs, and because they enjoy it, it's whatever. It's relaxing to them, and they actually make money because they do such a high volume. Take advantage of those types of people and get some sort of partnership. I've partnered with people in the past that just they will not crack open a laptop. I love doing it. I have no problem doing it whatsoever. But there are people out there that don't want to do it. So
yeah, I mean, if you can partner with somebody, say like for every 10 phones I send you, give me an hour free tanning.
Right, there you go.
we were that's a good idea too. No, we work out a deal with one of the local ones, and we send him some business, and he was fixing my daughter's phones as they crack them. So it's
there you
perfect.
Go. Perfect, yeah, perfect scenario.
And looking into the pricing of these things too, like you really have to buy everything in bulk if you want to make any money off of it. But when you get good enough, like the iPhones, I was talking to somebody, and they said that in an 8-hour day they could do 12 of them, plus the virus removals and everything else that they're doing. So I mean, you can make a lot of money off of it if you can get high volume, if you're good at it, and if you can do a good job predicting what you're going to need in stock.
Well, in a perfect example is a lot of people know from the Podnutz Network, Max Monty does these iPhone repairs all the time, and he has it set up where he's basically replacing the digitizer glass. He has a station set up where he tests them before he even puts them on a phone, and he literally can get those things done in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that quick. And especially the newer ones, the 5s and up have gotten even better with being able to pop the screen off from the front. The 4, you had to actually take the whole phone apart to get to the screen. So that everything had to come out. So hopefully a lot of the companies keep going in that direction. If you can get the screen off the front, I would say it's probably, easier to do. But again, it's one of those things. You got to have parts, and you got to learn how to do it. And if that's I've tried a couple small devices, and it just I know it's probably something that I should do. I just don't want to.
The new iPad Air went the opposite way. They fused the glass and the screen, so now that the part's so expensive, they're not worth fixing. You can the part costs as much as that. So they went the opposite with the new iPad Air 2s.
Okay.
Which is crazy. But yeah, you're right. Some of the other ones have gotten easier to fix.
Right.
Well, it's the difference between a phone and a tablet, though, right? You're going to keep that tablet a lot longer than you're going to keep the phone. So if you make the tablet repairable, it's just going to make them lose way more money than they're willing to. I'm not saying that I agree with it as a consumer, but I understand why they would go in that direction. It probably made the manufacturing a lot cheaper, and they're going to wind up selling a lot more because you're just going to replace it instead of getting it fixed.
So, hey, Corey, what type of phone do you use?
Yeah, you can probably guess on this one. I've got a Windows phone. I'm the only person on earth that does have one. Yeah. So in my case, my phone's probably something you guys have never seen before. I have no idea how repairable it is, but I don't know. It works.
Okay. All right. Now, what about your wife?
She's got an Android, so she's
Okay.
got a Nexus, and it's a great phone actually. She really, really likes it.
Oh.
I've got one of everything. I do have an iPhone. I've got my iPhone, my Windows phone, and an Android, and in use sort of in regular whatever is the Android and the Windows phone.
Now, have you ever broken any of them that you've had to have them fixed?
Never, not once.
Okay.
I bet you carry all three of them around with you.
What's that?
I bet you carry all three of them around with you so you can pull out whichever phone best fits your social situation.
Right. If you have social situations where you have to pick the right phone for it, I think you probably don't have many social situations.
Hey, I'm just saying, if everybody's sitting at the table is pulling out an iPhone, that's the one you're going to want to pull out. Otherwise, everybody's going to be staring at you weird.
It's true.
Siri, okay, Google, whatever the Spartan, I don't know. Cortana, that's right. Well, whatever. Which one do I say? I don't know.
Sounds like a villain from Star Wars or something.
Well, I let my son tell Cortana what my name was, so she addresses me as King Kong now.
Oh, nice. Yes, King Kong, we have a.
I gotta be honest, I don't use the voice recognition very much. It's a neat toy, but for practical use, I find it faster to type.
Well, I just find it, kind of silly to sit there and be out in the middle of everybody. It was kind of like back in the days when you had the Bluetooth, sticking out of your ear, and everybody was like, cool, you're walking down the street, bopping, and, you're talking to somebody, and people are going, like, what? You talking to me? And you're like, no, I'm not talking to you. And you're like going, really? Wow, okay. Why don't you go behind go in a corner or, somewhere and make your phone call?
Yeah, nowadays
people
you
still
can talk to
bebop?
people. Nowadays you talk to people and they assume you're not talking to them.
Right.
Now everybody just ignores everybody. Hey,
Right.
excuse me. And like, we must talk on the phone. They just talk to get a hold of somebody now. To really talk to them.
What was the commercial with the 80-year-old woman that was walking around talking to herself? Everybody avoided her because she thought she was crazy, and all she had was this really itty-bitty Bluetooth thing on her ear. You guys see that?
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh, see, that's just me then. I probably made it up. It's okay.
That was probably in Canada. Anyways. Anyways, all right, so John says, thanks for taking the time to read this. I hope to hear some responses on the show when you have time. Appreciate the email, John, and hope that stuff helped you out. John is from Computer Pros in Greenville, Tennessee. All right, email number 2 says, hello, Jeff. This is from Door to Door Geek, our illustrious owner of the Podnutz Network. better known as Steve McLaughlin, as I call him. And anyways, it says, hello, Jeff. I just stumbled across this and thought it might be a good tool for the non-remote tech to test hardware and do some data restoration. I know this will not be Scott approved, but it could be handy. He's talking about Scott Moulton from My Hard Drive Died. It's called Crash Clinic Diagnostics, and it's a Linux distro. Crash Clinic Diagnostic, Linux distro, live boot, ISO, computer diagnostic, and recovery tools with guide. Okay, long name. And so anyways, it looks like basically an ISO that you can run to, it sounds like you can quickly test the hardware, and maybe some of you guys are familiar with this, but I will definitely put a link to that in the show notes. And thanks again, Dor. Appreciate you bringing that information to the show. Has anybody ever used any of this? I know, Tom, you use a lot of the Linux distros and stuff like that for doing your repairs.
I haven't. We have some other ones used, but I just pulled up the site and I'm looking at it. That looks interesting. I might have to add that to my PXE boot because it looks. It's got the shortcuts on the desktop that my guys usually have to go searching for inside of Ubuntu when they boot it.
Well, if you actually use that, yeah, definitely report back and let us know how that works, and I'll definitely try to do that too. Anybody else? Anybody else use Linux distros for testing hardware or trying to get data back?
If you count C-Tools, this is probably based on Linux. Is that based on Linux, C-Tools?
I don't know. Don't think so. But, who knows? I don't know. But, no, yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
Tech USB is based off of Linux, I believe.
Yes, it is.
From Repair Tech Solutions.
Yeah, they're for their bootable ISO, basically, when you plug it in, yes. And that does all the hardware diagnostics and stuff. I don't know what back end. I don't know if they wrote that back end themselves or if they put something else in there.
I don't know why you would. You can pretty much find something for anything that you're looking for.
Ian will be on the show next week. I'll definitely I'll have to ask him that. All right. So let's see. Email number 3. All right. Jeff, love the shows, both Podnutz Daily and Podnutz. Been listening to them religiously for almost a year now. I'm currently work as an operations manager for a small MSP and have recently started my own consulting company. As I still have a day job, I'm trying to find a niche in the evenings, weekends area of computer repair. Basically, I'm trying to get my business off the ground and get it to a point that I can quit my day job and go after it full time. I've been exploring different avenues of marketing with little to no success, and I've heard you mention several times that AdWords has been very beneficial to you and your business, so I decided to give it a try. However, I don't seem to be having any luck with it. I'm not sure if it is just my area or if it is what I'm doing with my ads. It says, currently I let Google bid for me, and my ads always display. Supposedly I have several clicks, but it has led to nothing. I've already burned through $100 with AdWords, $25 of mine, and $75 credit from Google. I was hoping you might be willing to share with me some of your strategies, perhaps maybe even the wording you use for your ads. I've even entertained the notion that my website is the problem, and I've been considering rebuilding it to give it a little bit more of a hometown feel to it. Any thoughts, considerations, or advice you might have would be greatly appreciated. And that's from Timothy Gleaves from Clever Technology, clevertechnology.net. Thank you for the email, Timothy. And I set up a time where I'm actually going to talk to Timothy because there's a lot to go into the whole Google AdWords thing and to making it work for you. And not everybody uses Google AdWords in their businesses. A lot of people do, have word of mouth, and I like to use a little bit of everything. So for me, about 60% of my customers come from Google AdWords on a monthly basis, and and those are new customers. So I mean, that's what I've been using for the last 5 years. It works for me. It's hey, am I rolling in dough? No, but it does definitely get me the new customers, and it also, the way I've done it is it does get me the customers that I want. So there's definitely different ways to do Google AdWords depending on your area, and I have a couple things that I think are important, and I will give this out. One of the things that I think that you can do, and I've gone both ways. Sometimes I will put my flat rate price in the ad, and sometimes I haven't. If you want to get less clicks but better clicks that people are going to call you, I like to let people know right up front, hey, here's my flat rate pricing for XYZ service, and if that looks good to them, they're going to click on it and hopefully give me a call. A lot of the other times when I had no pricing on there, I would get a lot more clicks but a lot less calls. So there's definitely a way to do that. There's a balancing act. Anybody else on Google AdWords?
I put my pricing in there.
Okay.
And I really focus on the retail customers in the AdWords. I have not had much success with the business clientele on there. Most of my businesses are from direct interaction. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce and some business associations. Those are where I get my business clients from, the majority of them. But the AdWords, the general off-the-street people, putting it in there, like you said, you want quality. You don't want someone who's calling in and you get a bunch of phone calls or clicks that, oh, wow, that's more than I want to spend. I was hoping for a free solution, or that guy who said he'd charge me $5 to fix it. So, yeah, Facebook, and I get the same with the Facebook ads. If I'm pricing something out, I try to put my call to action in Facebook or however I run my ads. I'll make sure I have what I'm offering, if it's something for free, if it's a link, or that it's very clear. Because if you don't want to waste your ads or your clicks on that either.
Right.
I think there's an interesting point on the wasted clicks, because the more your ad gets clicks, the lower your price per click becomes. So if your ad is getting clicked, say 90% of the time, you're going to have a much lower cost per click than your competitors who are also bidding on AdWords.
And that also depends on how you do your bidding. So mine's a fixed bid where I have a maximum height that I'll go up on it, or a maximum amount that I'll pay, and it all depends on it. That has a lot to do. And here's the thing: it's almost like voodoo, because it has a lot to do with the Google AdWords, or how Google looks at it and how your site is ranked for good content, new content, all that kind of stuff goes into there. So a lot of times, I put a ceiling on mine, and I think mine's at four something. But my average price that I pay is right around $260. That's my average. So I put it up a little bit higher. But what ends up happening in my area, which again, like I told people before, is a 6x6 square mile radius, and it's just 2 zip codes in my city. My ad comes up pretty much number one every time if you put in the words computer repair. Actually, to be honest with you, I did a test the other day just to see how my SEO was doing and all that, and I put in computer Canton. In the past, I've had to do, I've had to specify Canton, Michigan, not Canton, Ohio, right? So I put in computer Canton, and actually my website came up organically right underneath my major competitor in this area.
Nice.
So, and I don't know how I've done that. I make stuff up as I go.
Because you're a good guy, Jeff. That's all.
That's how I use Google AdWords, and it's worked for me. So, anyways, I'm going to sit down with Timothy and just kind of look over his real quick, and see kind of what I can tell him, and kind of help him with that. But I'm glad you brought that up too, Tom, because that's it's always been my thought process. You want
it makes sense to
good
me.
clicks. Yeah. So. All right, and let's see. One more email, and this had to do with our show from last week. This is from Shane Lindberg. Jeff, I was listening to your last podcast about upgrading to 8.1. I think the following information may relate to your situation, or your situation may be unique, and it was. In our experience, if a product key was originally made for 8 as opposed to 8.1, it can be used to activate but not actually install 8.1. That means if we want to install 8.1 directly using an 8.1 disk along with a publicly listed 8.1 generic install key, then activate with the 8.0 key, it works every time for us. Keep up the good work. And that's Shane from brighteyedcomputer.com. Thanks for the email, Shane. And he is exactly right. That is the way that it used to be until Microsoft came out with their OEM software for the different versions. You can get 8, 8.1, 8.1 Pro, and now you can use the 8.0 keys to install it. The problem I was having, and most people are not going to run into this, but when Windows 8 first came out, they were selling a version for $40 online, and it was an upgrade version. Yep. Well, it was Windows 8, obviously, so when we all upgraded to 8.1, when I had to do a system reinstall on my system, because that's what I bought, I actually had to go back and put Windows 8 in, activate it, then I had to go to the Microsoft Store, which is to me still seems silly, and upgrade to 8.1. So if the computer comes with 8 or 8.1 on it, you're golden. You can use the Microsoft OEM software, and you can not only can you install it with the product key that's attached to that machine, and there was a link in the show notes on how to get those, but you can also take that product key and it'll activate for you automatically. It works. But just not on the upgrade one that people were buying for $40 when they were upgrading their Windows 7 systems to Windows 8. Anybody else have anything on that?
No, you got that covered.
Yep.
I'm curious what's going to happen with the Windows 10
That's
and the free
that's my
upgrades
concern.
for.
Yes. I thought the same thing, Tom. I was thinking about it today. I go, here's the thing. It's kind of difficult now. We've kind of worked it out. We're getting a little bit better and doing the reinstalls, and they're a little easier. But I'm like, a lot of people are going, well, we're going to make a lot of money off of all these people who want to upgrade to Windows 10. And I'm like, that's fine, but again, that's going to be an upgrade path. Even though you can do a clean install, there's always been ways to do that. That's not going to be an issue. The issue is going to be activating this if the hard drive dies or something happens to that computer. And on the upgrade path, it just seems like it's harder to do than actually having a straight OEM version that you buy from, Newegg, or you buy from the manufacturer directly or whatever.
Well, I know I'm going to sound like a very young, optimistic person when I say this, but I bet you Microsoft thought of that. Eventually they have to realize that every time they screw this up, that it causes a lot of people to get very upset about it. And my hope here is that they're going to do something kind of along the same lines of the refurbisher licenses, where they actually keep track of all of that stuff so that you can use the key to just reinstall it rather than getting stuck with this whole, no, this is an upgrade version.
Chris, you are so adorable.
Thank you. I knew that was coming. It's just one day it has to happen, because if it doesn't, come on. I mean, you can only fall so far.
The upgrade for Windows 10 is it does run differently from the way we went from like 7 to 8. It's going to be all done through Windows Update this time. So if you're going from 7 to 10 or 8 to 10 or whatever, it's all going to be done through Windows Update. It is going to be much easier. But to your point, I don't know how it's going to work with the actual keys.
Well, and they've been.
You're supposed to be our inside man here.
Yeah, you've been working with the code.
He sees the Matrix.
Hey, Matt, do you have any? Do you guys ever have to do anything with Windows 8 right now, or is everybody still on Windows 7?
Oh, we've got a lot of clients that use that, but I guess my position is different because I have a lot of Windows 8 and 8.1 DVDs. I have Dell 8.1 DVDs, HP DVDs for 8 and 8.1. So if I ever done a reload, I just use the Dell or HP DVD, because we usually use Dell or HP, and we get that reloaded. So, I mean, I have CDs, DVDs that came with systems that I just kind of keep for the client, so they won't lose them.
Exactly. I thought about that every time when I was thinking about making restore media when I set up a new computer, and I'm thinking, why? Because even if I give them the discs,
yeah, they're gonna lose them.
Even if I need them, they're not gonna have them.
Even you have a video of you handing them DVD, they'll say, "You never gave me that."
Right.
So, we might have bought.
This is clearly photoshopped.
So a lot of times we'll get like an order for 15 notebooks. So I'll keep 1 or 2 and send them 13 of them. So I have an HP 8 DVD, 8.1 DVD, a Dell 8.1. So I have all that stuff. If I reload, I just use one of those medias.
Well, in my good friend John Dubinsky actually sent me some of those. I've got some Windows 7 and some Windows 8 for Dells. And the problem was I actually had a Dell machine where I was doing a Windows 8.1 reinstall, but because it was that upgrade media and it didn't originally come with Windows 8, that's where I couldn't get it to. I could get it to install, no problem. It wouldn't activate. That's where I ran into problems.
Yeah, so I ran into a problem. So, well, normally, if let's say they upgrade to 8.1, if the recover media I have is 8, well, I've never had to come across that, but I have DVDs for both. So
okay. So yeah, it's one. Like I said, mine's one of those unique, situations that I knew about because I bought the $40 version when Windows 8 came out. But my machines are also always hand built. I don't buy HP, Dell, and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but no, and the other thing he said was we were doing some emails back and forth. Was he says Windows 8 with Bing, he said you absolutely need the OEM software from the manufacturer. says we were talking back and forth. You said, I think the criteria is for lower priced laptops. If it was Microsoft's way to compete with the Chromebook, they don't charge OEMs to use this version. This one we came across was a 15-inch HP laptop. It was probably a sub $300 model. So there's that special version with the Bing, and I'm sure that has some advertising aspect to it. And because of that, you're going to actually need the OEM software. And I know, Chris, you've said in the past, though, that you've been able to call the manufacturer and a lot of times get those discs sent to you no problem.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's because I'm Canadian and we're all nice. But if you,
Okay. I'm sorry.
I've done it with HP. I've done it with Lenovo. I've done it with Dell and Toshiba. I think Toshiba was the only one that I couldn't talk into for it.
Okay.
But I would just call them up and say, hey, listen, I've got this customer and they brought me this computer and it's out of warranty. I was wondering if you guys still had the CDs. Oh yeah, we still have them. It's $40. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to get them to pay for that. That's really unfortunate. Oh, well, I mean, if we send you the discs, does that mean that you'd be able to repair some extra ones? Well, yeah, if I didn't have to give it to the customer. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and send you the discs. What's your office address?
Very good.
Right? So you just gotta play it right, and they'll play ball.
Yeah, I get a lot of mine that way, calling the manufacturer if I need to. If I charge a client for the disc, I give them the original. I'll burn a copy. If I pay for them, I keep them. It just depends on who. But either way, I'm going to have a copy.
The one thing I had is in the past I've been able to take the discs from Dell or HP or whatever, and I was able to take the ISO out and actually recreate an ISO and reburn a disc for myself. With Windows 7 Professional and the Windows 8, for some reason there was something in there that it kept recognizing it as a bad ISO when I tried to do that. So I'm not sure. It could have been me doing something wrong. I'm not sure, but I couldn't get it to work right. So let's see. I think that was it for the emails. I think we answered all the emails for today.
No.
Yeah, we got through all of them. Very good. All right. So what else do we got to talk about? Now I have a little story. Everybody sit down. Grab your Coke and a smile. And anyways, again, most of you are probably not going to run into this, but these are the one-off things that I get all the time. They're just very, very frustrating. If everybody remembers that wonderful operating system called Windows Vista, which I personally never had a problem with, but when I reinstall them on customers' computers, they're a pain in the butt because their restore media is always Windows Vista with no service packs. So in the past, I used to take Service Pack 1, separate download, Service Pack 2, separate download, and run both of those, which each one would take at least a couple hours to install. I don't know why, but they did. So what I did this week is I had a Windows Vista machine come in, and it needed a reinstall. I went ahead and did the reinstall, just trying to use the Windows Update, and it would get to Windows Service Pack 1, and it would say it completed, but it never actually went through. So what I should have done, and I have everything set up to do this, I was just being lazy for whatever reason, is I pulled out my drive with the WSUS updater on it, the Windows Updater, and I plugged that into my dock and plugged that into the computer, and I just ran the WSUS updater, and it installed Service Pack 1 and Service Pack 2 and any other things that I was missing, and then I went to the website and finished up with the handful of things that weren't current on my version. So that's a tip for if you're doing Windows Vista. Absolutely the best way to get Service Pack 1 and Service Pack 2 on there is use something like a SUS updater or WSUS updater, or download the service pack separately and run them. But I didn't want to sit there and run it and then come back and have to run the second one. So that was an easier option for me.
I use that all the time. We have it in a network share in our office. I keep it up to date. They actually, the tool has an auto updater that runs in Linux now, and I run that every time Patch Tuesday comes around to download all the latest updates, so it's always fresh. But that saves us so much time because most of the time customers bring it in. They've been clicking ignore updates since day one of the computer. So they bring it in when they got a problem. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not just got a virus, you haven't ran an update in about a year. So
Right.
there's always a lot of that on there.
And it's amazing how often you come across that, and it doesn't matter if it's residential or business.
Both.
Really good example. We had one of our clients. All they do is they resell our managed service plan, which I don't have a problem with that. But they had set up this business that had, I think, 10 computers, and out of those 10 computers, one of them was left up to date. The rest of them required 6 reboots to do all of the updates that needed to be downloaded. So, probably hadn't actually run Windows updates since the day they bought the computers.
Well, I used to run into, because Service Pack 1 and Service Pack 2 for Vista were so bad, I would run into office environments sometimes that a lot of times they had been running Windows Vista with no Service Packs installed since they got the computer.
Yep.
And it had been years, and it was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and then they start wondering, why am I getting this infection, or why isn't this program working properly, or why, you can't explain it to them.
Right. No, that's a good point. Now, okay, Tom. Now, okay, here's how slow I am. Apparently, WSUS Updater actually has an auto update feature.
Yeah, if you get that on there, and then you can script it in the background. We actually have it running on our RAID server and scripted. So I just kick off. Well, I wait till the patch Tuesday and manually kick off the script, but I just never bother putting a cron job in for it. But it keeps it all fresh and all up to date, so all the updates are always there and available.
Gotcha. Because I've been doing mine manually, but the problem has always been it usually takes me like 72 hours for some reason to get all those updates.
It seems to take a long time. That's one of the reasons I like it as a script, because I go in, I kick off the script, and I kick it off the day after patch Tuesday at night, and it's done usually by the time I come in the next day. I don't know exactly when it finishes, but I know it runs for a long time.
Now, see, I'm probably one of those people that I'm guilty. See, I check all the boxes, even for the legacy software.
Yeah.
I probably don't need to do that, but
we have a 100 meg connection too, so.
So do I.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't.
Maybe it's the computer. I don't know. I mean, I don't have it. It's not on a beefy computer or anything like that. It's on a mid-grade computer, and it just seems like it takes. I don't know why. It just seems like it takes forever. But yeah, I try to update mine once a month, and I do it same thing. Right after Patch Tuesday, I sit there and launch the program and let it run. So, I think. That's it. Is there anything else anybody wanted to bring up on the show this week that we haven't talked about, or?
I think a lot of what we talked about kind of goes to a pretty important point, which is to keep up with what's going on in your area and what's going on with the technology, and just kind of keep improving your company. We talked about mobile repair, and I mean, it doesn't really work for you guys, but I'm sure that there are other people out there that could start doing mobile repair or could start getting into something else that they're not doing right now. So, go take a look at what's going on in your area and see if there's a niche that you can pick up before somebody else does.
Yeah, if you can't drive around town and see 3 of them easily, then some storefront with big signage, iPhone repair, Android phone repair would do good, because they do good wherever they are. If there's not a oversaturation of them.
And if they have quick turnaround time, right? Keeping the stock and all of that. It's just one example because it came up, but I mean, you could say the same thing about doing refurbishing. You could say the same thing about just pretty much anything that like your custom systems for POS. There's always something that you can get into.
Yeah, definitely find your niche. There are definitely things that you can put in your business, and especially if it's something you like to do. That's the thing. A lot of us will do things a lot of times because it's a good money maker, but maybe we don't enjoy doing it so much. But there are plenty of things out there that you can pick that you like, and you can actually make money doing it, and it's not such a hardship on yourself. So, that's why I don't, as I'm getting older, I don't really like. I'm still very good at soldering, but I don't like getting down into the small mobile devices, because I've ripped off the power cables and had to resolder those back on, and although they're fairly easy, it's just still everything is so brittle.
And like you mentioned, finding a partnership like we have with one of the guys doing it, it actually works out really well. He's a really nice guy. He doesn't directly compete with us because he focuses on that mobile repair market that we're not in for, small devices. Referring him a lot, it works out well for us. We have a happy client that come to us. A lot of times it's our existing customer base that say, hey, I love it. You fixed my laptop, but I dropped my phone. And having someone you can trust, he's one of the guy we use is he's a local guy. He's honest and he's nice. Some of the other ones are a little strange, so it took a little time picking them out. But that's actually helped it for us because it's not a market I want to try and get into right now. There's so much competition, razor thin margins. He stocks a lot of parts, but more than anybody I've ever seen. And he's ordering them from China to get them at a better price. He orders like 20, 30 screens at a time. And that's the way he makes money. He says he would not be able to be profitable if it wasn't for the bulk amounts of parts.
No, it's very true. I mean, especially with screens or power connectors, as I found out, because I wanted to dabble a little bit. So I've got an iPhone and an iPod sitting on the bench that need repairs, and the parts take 4 to 6 weeks to get here if you want to get them at a decent price. But if it's something that you enjoy doing, then it's something that you could make a lot of money off of if you just keep at it and keep the parts stocked.
Right. Now, let me ask this question: does anybody, in this is probably more for Tom and myself, I guess. Tom, let me ask you, Tom. Tom, you guys obviously do laptop screen repairs after seeing your funny video on your website there. Now, do you keep screens stocked, or do you actually order those as needed?
We stock a lot of screens.
Okay. And do you find that a lot of them are generic? To a certain point, okay.
There's a ton of cross compatibility in them. That's actually helpful too, because sometimes if you look them up by the model of the laptop, they're hard to find, or you'll find them expensive. So we always look them up by the part number on the screen and figure out the cross references. And we found a lot of them compatible with each other that we didn't know were compatible with each other. We will just start going, hey, the connector looks the same. Let's try it, and we're like, well, this works. We've had to use razor blades to swap out on the tape on the top because you have to move on the thin screens where the connectors are. Not the connectors, but the ears for the screw ins. So we've had to move those over on them, and they're taped on, so you just run a razor blade on and reuse their old ears off their old screen. But it makes it easy to even stock the thin screens now.
Okay, that's a great tip. That's good to know. I would have never
they're very much the same. The ears for every model seem to be in a slightly different place, but they're taped on, so they're 10 minutes at most you spend changing them.
Now, as far as ribbon placement on the back of those screens, because I tend to try to match up the screen number on the back, and
yes.
So because a lot of times, really, what that has to do with, it's not always the screen itself. It's a lot of times it has to do with the ribbon placement on which side of the screen, left, right, or middle.
Yep.
So do you find
onto that too?
Okay. So on a lot of the ones that are compatible, though, the ribbons, are reaching to the right place.
Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
They seem to be the same screen, and the different model number we've noticed on them denotes where the ears are. So, like the Dell thin screens and the HP thin screens are the same screen with a different part number, but the ears on the Dell are on the top, and I think on the side on the HP. So you just got to move the little ears where the screw holes are. But the connector is the same, but it does have a different model number on the screen. But they're the resolutions and everything are the same, and that's of course the important part.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Yeah. Resolution. That is one big component you have to look at. I still order mine off of eBay, and I've got a good seller there that has always done me right, and I get A+ screens from her, and I've never had a problem with them. So,
how many screen replacements are you doing a month or a week?
I probably half my business seems like it's screen replacements a lot of times. I mean, I get people calling all the time for screen replacements. And sometimes they won't go with me or whatever, but it seems like there's a lot of people that leave them sitting on the ground, drop them from a bed or whatever.
On our retail side, I think I counted, because I was playing with some statistics in January, just going through everything we did for last year. I think we did 130 screens for retail side. For the year? Yeah, for the year.
Okay. So we do screen replacements as well, but I don't get many calls about it. It's our clients, of course. Yeah, I cracked my screen, but we don't do nearly enough to keep them in stock. So I don't even know if I do one a month. That's over a couple hundred clients, and who knows how many computers between those couple hundred clients. Probably I don't know, over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I mean,
Mhm.
a typical customer might have 40 users, and a lot of them have a desktop and a laptop. And with all that, I get one call a month sometimes.
Those people must be very well. I mean, again, I think the residential side from a lot of kids will do stupid things when it comes to laptops. And it's not always mom and dad that are necessarily breaking these things, but it's the kids that are a lot of
Yeah.
times the kids with laptops. I mean, I've had customers come to me and basically you feel bad because the kid's actually paying for the repair. You're like,
Yeah. So we do
No.
mostly business, but I guess sometimes the calls I get are the business owners'
Okay.
kids.
Gotcha.
Right. I had one of them that he sat on it, cracked it, fixed it. A month later, he called me back. Hey, he sat on it again. I was like, okay, you might not want to keep that on his bed.
Maybe, yeah. How about instead of putting it on the couch, you put it on the table in front of the couch?
So like I said, he paid for that repair twice.
Oh, that's bad. So, anyways, I think with all that being said, it's been a great show. Hey, just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out. And I tell you what, Tom, why don't you tell people where they can find you at?
I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. You can find me at lawrencesystems.com. You can message me through my website. My email is tom@lawrencesystems.com or Facebook/PC Pickup. I'm pretty much on there all the time, as my wife will attest.
Great. Appreciate you coming out. Matt, and why don't you tell us where people can find you at?
People can find me over at right now, informedit.net. If they want to email me, info@informedit.net.
Very good. And Corey, why don't you let us know where people can find you and what you do?
Over at instanthousecall.com. Email is Corey@instanthousecall.com, and Google plus Twitter and LinkedIn.
Just all the social networks combined.
All the social networks, absolutely.
Awesome. Appreciate you coming out and sharing with us today. And Chris, why don't you go ahead and pimp yourself?
Do my thing, yeah. So yeah, I'm Chris, the late one. I'm the owner of Remote Support Tech Team. So if we do white label repair for IT companies, you can find us at www.rstechteam.com. You can email us at info@rstechteam.com. And as I mentioned, I'm not going to be here next weekend because we'll be opening the new office. So for anybody who is local, you can come to 67 Patterson Road in Barrie, Ontario to come and see us.
And remember, for his comment earlier, anything that was directed to him, info@rstechteam.com.
That's right. That's right. All hate mail for this show, because it's usually me opening my mouth, goes to info@rstechteam.com.
Well, hey, we're going to miss you next week, Chris, but appreciate you definitely coming out this week, and we definitely will catch up with you the week after. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of stories to share with your new place there.
Oh, for sure.
Post some photos of the new office. I want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Backroom photos won't go up until next month. It's we've got the essentials back there, but it will be a work in progress.
Gotcha.
You could do the Google Hangout on your phone and then just kind of walk us around.
There you go.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, guys, just again, thanks for coming on the show, and really appreciate it. You guys can find me on the Google Plus at Jeffery Halash or Twitter at TechNutPC. If you're a computer repair tech and would like to be a guest on Podnutz Daily, email me at podnutzdaily@podnuts.com. You can also email us questions for this show over at podnuts@podnuts.com. Guys, if you want to leave a voicemail, you can call the number 1-888-697-0162. And if you guys could, please leave us a rating and review over on iTunes, like Deros6 did. He said, "This stuff is good. I've always enjoyed doing computer repair in my free time on my own computers along with family and friends. Before listening to the Podnutz cast, I could have never seen myself starting my own business until now. I can honestly say I've listened to over 40 of the podcasts in just about a week. The material is funny and educational all at the same time. Great stuff. Thanks so much for your great service." Well, appreciate that, Deros6. Appreciate you actually liking the show, and I'm glad we're funny and educational at the same time. You guys can also help support the Podnutz Network. The next time you're shopping on Amazon, go to podnuts.com/Amazon. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. All right. Good show. Yeah, we're still live on the air, just so y'all know. No derogatory comments or anything like that.
Oh.
I'm going to move all the pictures around from all of us so that we can just do the Brady Bunch thing.
There you go. Oh, this worked out really good. We had this. I think this is the most we've had on the show, and it went well.
Yeah, most we had before this was 4. So this is I was expecting a lot more crowded.
Yeah,
I saw how many people were here.
we're breaking new ground. Next week it'll be 10. Oh no.
Nope. That's your show. You can have that all by yourself.
Oh, can you imagine? No, this was good. Very good. Oh. So what does everybody else have planned for the rest of their Sunday afternoon?
Well, my wife wants me to go to church with her in about 5 minutes. That's what
So what you're saying is if I keep you on here for longer than 5 minutes, you don't have to go.
Yeah,
and then she'll be mad at me.
That's not worth it, dude. Get up and go to church. Seriously.
We usually go Saturday afternoon, but we were out of town yesterday, so.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. They have a what would it be? Oh, I guess the evening service on Sunday,
Yeah.
then, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, she's a driving factor of all of us going to church every week.
Well, that's probably good. You know, it's better than the alternative. So.
I don't hear any yelling going on with the kids, though, so I'm not sure if they're getting ready. Usually there's yelling going on.
In the car, she's tapping your watch.
Get dressed, hurry up, that kind of thing. I don't hear that.
Gotcha. How about you, Tom? So you working for the rest of the day, or what?
No, I'm just excited. It's up to 47%, so it's only 12,000 more emails to go, and then that'll be done. I'm gonna go out to eat, and even though it's cold out, one of my fun things I do is I did it yesterday. I get on my motorcycle and go play for a while, even in the snow. That's how I relax. It's either motorcycles or bicycles, but in the snow, nothing like riding on a motorcycle.
Yeah, it looked a lot of fun. I was watching your videos there. That's pretty cool. Hey, you gotta have fun, right? You gotta enjoy
have fun doing something. I go get stupid. My wife is always just like, should I get a new insurance policy?
Hey, I mean, yeah. Well, it's funny because I've always told people, I said, you spend the first 40 years of your life trying to kill yourself.
Yeah.
You spend the last 40 actually trying to take care of yourself so you can last those last 40.
That's when I'm at their threshold.
But I still do some stupid things sometimes that.
It's fun.
It is.
And that was live on the air, so we have video proof.
I'm still young at heart. I'm not as young as Chris, but I'm still young at heart.
That's true. That's true. Well, it's like when you guys are starting to talk about Windows Vista, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I remember hearing about that.
What was your first operating system, Chris?
Windows 95.
Okay. All right.
But we had a Windows 3.1 system and a Commodore 64, and I played with them for fun.
Okay. Yeah, Commodore 64 was probably, TI-99 was my first computer, but Commodore 64 was definitely the second that I did most of my nefarious things on. But anyways,
we had Net Zero. For the first, I think, 3 years that we had internet, we never paid for it because we'd use services like Net Zero that was paid for by advertising.
Wow. I remember one time I was living in a duplex, and my next door neighbor was my friend, and I didn't want to pay for cable, so we spliced his line and brought it over to my house. Man, they caught us quick. It was like less than a week, and they had dug it up.
Yeah.
It was a bummer.
They probably called about their signal being crappy.
Yeah.
They found the splice.
I wonder how they even detect that.
Who knows? You know what? I'm sure in those. I'm not going to say it was a poor part of town, but I'm sure in those areas, people are living in duplexes. It's that stuff probably happens all the time.
Yeah.
I think that usually, because I know on this street here, when people get caught for stuff like that, it's because somebody calls in with a problem with their service, and the tech just happens to see it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right, guys. Well, I gotta head out. Hey, Jeff, if you need somebody for next week, since Chris won't be there, let me know.
Yep.
If you need anybody.
I'm not replaceable, Matt.
Just for the week.
Oh, okay.
Just like to be one of the 10 people that are going to be on.
That's right.
Yeah, we gotta beef the show up since you're not gonna be here, Chris.
Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, Matt. You have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk.
Have a good one, Matt.
All right. Y'all take
Take
My
care,
care.
wife's here informing me it's time to go.
All right.
All right.
Hello, voice of reason.
Yes. All right, Tom. Hey, appreciate you coming out again, and yeah, go enjoy dinner and have a great rest of your week.
All right, take care. Talk to you later, Jeff. Thanks.
Yep. All right.
You see, now we have 3 very important people on the podcast.
Yeah. Now I feel outweighed by the 2 Canadians versus an American.
That's, you know what? Get used
You know,
to it.
if history is any guide, you're still going to win.
Oh my gosh. I was gonna say, but I still do have the remote controls where I can mute people or shut their video off. So
We like to let you think that.
that's
We like to let you
yeah.
think that.
It's like, wait, why? I'm clicking it. Why is it not working?
Really, all that does is give us a little pop-up that says, "Is it okay if we turn off your video?"
Right?
And it actually says please. It's very
Yes.
Please.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we had looks like 6 viewers today, so that's pretty good.
We almost outnumbered the viewers.
Yeah. Now we're down to 5.
Yeah, you know what though? We'll wind up with a lot of downloads though,
Oh yeah.
which is awesome. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. This show right now it's right around at about the 4-week mark. I think it's right around 14, but it gets up into the 1,800 unique subscribers. So.
This particular show?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, it's the Podnutz Daily Show is pretty much the same. So they're pretty similar.
Nice.
I'm gonna say it's probably a lot of the same audience. So. But.
So what do you think, Jeff? Do you want to do a recorded one tonight? We can either do cloud or Windows 10.
Yeah, either one. What I
Okay.
mean, what do you want to cover as far as Windows 10? We
And-
cover a little bit of both, really.
Yeah, I'll just make stuff up.
Hey, that's
That's
what
pretty much
my
what
whole
we
show's
do.
about.
Yeah.
I make stuff up. I don't really
Yeah.
fix computers.
No, I don't really make software, so we're both.
Right.
There you go.
It's great because everybody keeps talking about all these laptop screen replacements, so I just kind of go with it, you know? Like, oh yeah, somebody mentioned a screen number on the back. Yeah, I look for those too. Yeah.
I just read the forums and then spit stuff out. I don't really.
There you go. There was a really popular opinion that viruses don't actually exist, so that's what we're going to talk about this week, and we're going to have 3 expert opinions to talk about how viruses aren't actually a thing.
We could go all like conspiracy theory on it and say it's the NSA or something. We could make a good show out of that.
Hey, you know what I just thought of, Chris, and now that I'm thinking about it, the Bit Defender that I've been testing out on my systems, one of the things it does is it has this thing called, where it's automated. So if I'm playing a game or something, it shuts different notifications and stuff off. So I'm almost wondering, remember the problem you were having with the GFI, where it was actually notifying you that Windows updates was shut off? You remember that?
I fixed it.
Right, you fixed it, but what I'm saying is I thought I was having the same problem on Bitdefender. What it does shut the notifications off so it doesn't bother you when you're doing certain tasks like this.
Yeah.
Or playing a game.
Yeah.
Which those notifications would never come up during that time. Well, they might come up right now, but they would normally not come up that during a game time or something like that. So I just thought maybe it's not just the GFI system itself, but it could also have something to do with the MAV too.
And that makes perfect sense because I do nothing but play video games all day. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why, I'm not updating.
Right?
Hey, what did you do to fix that problem?
I adjusted a batch script to basically turn it off and then turn it back on again. And that works.
I turned it off and turned it on again. That's the age-old answer.
You know, saying it out loud, it sounds completely ridiculous, but it worked, so I'm not going to argue.
Oh, man.
You know, if all of our customers found out that all we really do is turn things off and turn them back on again, they'd be they'd be very upset.
Here's the secret of Remote Support Tech Team. You never actually speak to a live person. You get a recording that tells you to shut the computer off and turn it back on. Please enter your credit card number now.
Well, I will tell you, my son was he's 22, and he's in the Army, and he was over in Afghanistan for a while last year. About maybe 6-8 months ago, something like that. Anyways, he's a helicopter mechanic, and one of the officers, there was a problem with the helicopter, so one of the officers came in and looked at him and said, "Hey, did you guys figure out what's going on with my helicopter?" My son looked at him with a straight face and he goes, "Well, sir," he goes, "did you try turning it off and turning it on again?" To that, the officer was not very happy with that answer.
No, I bet not. Actually, my college professor, before he got into IT, he was an aero something engineer.
Okay.
And and he worked for the Army, and he did plane maintenance and repairs.
Okay.
And he, I mean, so many stories about, like, you know, bad firmware upgrades for some of that would just completely shut a plane down. But the one thing that he did say is he never expected, when he started being educated on all this, that everybody kept on freaking out about static electricity and saying that you had to make sure that you dealt with the static on the plane before you touched it. And it didn't sound like a whole big deal until he saw somebody touch a plane and they flew. So, yeah, I would love to be able to just get into something like that and see how the computers work, but planes scare the crap out of me because there's so many things that will just kill you if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, it's funny. We have a rubberized line that brings down metal parts out of a hot press, and as they're coming down the line, it creates a static electricity, and we actually had to set these wires up so that it discharges the state. It's really, really high class. We had to set up these wires to basically discharge the electricity, because before we did that, man, you'd go to grab the part with gloves on, and the shock would go all up through your arm and all the way to your elbow, and you're like,
jeez,
oh, whoa, and you're just like, okay, that's enough. I'm not touching any more of those. So then sometimes, you know, we'll mess around with the people on the line, and we'll actually move the wire out of the way, and then, you know, so when you need to sit there and watch.
You just see. Here's what's going to happen, though, is somebody's going to get hurt, and then your boss is going to be like, "Hey, I wonder what Jeff's been up to," and then he's going to see this, be like, "Oh, that's it. Done."
Well, you know what? They can't prove it.
They can't.
I work for a union. True. I work for a union. They can't prove
Done.
it.
You know. I got to tell you. There's a big difference between Toyota and Honda. The Honda plant here actually is not unionized.
Okay.
However, it is so hard to get fired from that place. It's not even funny. Like, you have to mess up real bad to get let go.
It's you know what, the reality is, a lot of places it's really hard to get fired from. I mean, other than if they're downsizing because they don't really need you type thing. But I mean, as far as just if they need you, the job needs to be covered. They don't have anybody. It's like, people think that people are just willy-nilly about, you're out of here now. It's not.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's hilarious though, looking at a manager's face when you send them a report for a laptop that they have to pay to have fixed because one of the engineers stuck a magnet next to it. You know, sometimes I think that they want to fire people and they just can't.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you stick that big magnet next to a laptop?
Okay, look, because I mean, a mechanical engineer doesn't think about things like that. So, you know, when the laptop just blue screens and you bring it, oh, look, your laptop broke. Well, how did you manage to do this? There's nothing on the hard drive anymore. You've wiped the BIOS chip. What did you do? And then you go back over to the desk and you realize that they're trying to figure out how they're going to pick up the cars and move them from one place to another because they want to change something on the line. And then you see the big magnet sitting on the desk. Can that magnet lift a car? Yes. Great.
That's a strong magnet right there.
Oh yeah.
You know, I have a magnetic mat on my fix-it table, and you know, it's a low. It's not a very strong magnet or anything like that. And supposedly they say it's safe to even, you can literally set a hard drive on there and there's not.
I still wouldn't take the chance
though. Oh
though.
no, I wouldn't either. Yeah. But I'm just like going, but it is sitting on my table, and I'm like going, so I put the hard drive on the other side, away from everything. So
I'm telling you though, I'm actually kind of excited. I wanted to play around with these phones, and I want to pull them apart, and I want to see what's on the inside. And the only thing that sucks is that I ordered the iFixit mobile device repair kit, like with the suction cup and all that in there, and there's no tracking number. So I have no idea where it is. And I'm one of those people, I take all of my tracking numbers for every package that's on the way here, and I put them in my system so that I can see where everything is at all times.
Right.
I hate having a blank there because I need to know what's going on. I don't know if that makes me a control freak or if that just makes me paranoid.
Just a little bit.
Just one of them.
A little bit, yes. Hey, Corey, definitely. Is 8 o'clock still okay for you?
Yeah, 8 o'clock works. If we can do something just beforehand, I realized afterwards that my control panel and your control panel are going to be different because I've got like a legacy Amazon account. So if we can either start at 8 and maybe have a half hour just making sure we do things smoothly.
Okay.
Just a quick run through before we start recording and then do the show. I'm not sure what to expect when I start seeing a new control panel.
Gotcha. Now let me ask you a question. Now, do you want to do do you want to do a video on that, or do you? Is it necessary?
We could do either or both. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
From my perspective, I mean, what we could do is record it as a video. I'll talk as if it's audio, and then you can decide afterwards.
Okay.
Or do both or whatever. But what I'm thinking is that I'll remote onto your machine. We'll bring up a couple servers, tinker with it a bit, and we could probably talk about the difference between Azure or Azure, I never know how to pronounce it, and Amazon, and go from there. What do you think?
That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, we can definitely get that started. So.
What remote sports software are you going to use for that, Corey?
I was thinking about using TeamViewer actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds great. You didn't go to Log Me and Rescue. I mean, jeez.
Yeah. No, I was
hear
thinking about it. Maybe I'll use them instead. I'll have to see. I'll have to see. I've got accounts with all of them, so
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense.
It's kind of like all the phones you carry, right?
Gotta keep a backup because it's like the
phones. All right, well, guys, I think I'm going to officially stop this broadcast here, and you guys can hang around or whatever if you want. But I'll tell you what, I appreciate everybody coming out this week, and we will see you all next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great week, everyone.